We're going to talk some more truth with Ryan Sabey, Deputy Political Editor of the newspaper The Sun. Ryan, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
Fifth anniversary of Brexit. Nigel Farage says he's not even sure Boris Johnson really had his heart in it in the first place. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it does seem like that. Nigel Farage is going to be out sort of campaigning a rallies today, and I think one of those key messages that he's trying to get is look, Nigel Farage is pleased, obviously, that the Brexit Day happened 5 years ago, but has the Conservative Party and now this government, are they really going to seize the benefits of that? He looks back to the time of Boris. He didn't really massively take advantage of it. And I think the problem now for people like Nigel Farage, it seems that reset moment that Keir Starmer is talking about getting closer ties to Brussels is just going to bring us closer and closer. So I think people on from Nigel Farage's side of the argument are just going to see that maybe the next few months and years as a betrayal of what happened back in 2016.
Yeah, absolutely right. Growth very much still the order of the day on the front pages this morning. A piece in the Mail from Daniel Hannan basically saying that Britain has now elevated net zero over democracy. Ed Miliband, who some people thought was going to resign this week because apparently it now turns out he told the Cabinet on Tuesday that basically he didn't think a third runway at Heathrow was in any way compatible with their net zero commitments. But now, after a court case in Scotland has ruled that the Tories were unlawfully giving the go-ahead and the green light to some oil and gas exploration, the Prime Minister is being told, show us you actually mean business and resurrect these oil and gas licences and let's actually start getting some proper growth in the North Sea.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think this will be a moment when it comes to this issue of oil and gas for Sir Keir Starmer to show some backbone. We had that big speech from Rachel Reeves early in the week where she said the government's #1 mission was to grow the economy. We heard also from Sir Keir Starmer saying that every single decision made in government has to be seen through this prism of growth. So I think lots of people are looking to the next steps from the government. They'll be reading that court judgment and going through that line by line. But I think many people, if Keir Starmer really means growth, he's really got to act.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Rachel Reeves has spent all week telling us about how, you know, everything seems to rebound around growth. Maybe the third runway in Heathrow will be built. Maybe it won't. But even if it is, it will be 25 years away. A railway line coming up somewhere between Oxford and Cambridge, running past Milton Keynes. You know, it's all terribly sort of, you know, eager, and it looks good on paper, perhaps, but it's not really ever going to happen. And if it does happen, it's going to be a very long time away.
And I think that's the trouble. This government could walk into very, very, very quickly. You go back to before the election, it was all going to be landed sort of milk and honey, and people were going to be feeling better. In this Parliament, you had Jonathan Reynolds this week saying that people will feel better off this year, but will people be sort of substantially feeling better off? And all these big projects, whether it's Heathrow, Gatwick, Luton, the East West Rail, as you say, these things could be the best part of 2 decades away. And is this government actually going to transform people's lives, make them feel better off? It's all very much up in the air. And people say it can't happen quick enough, and it's not likely to happen within the next few years, just because these projects. And we know what happens when people put planning applications into this country, and we've seen that we know about the government's their endeavours to try and make things happen, but they get held up in the courts and judicial reviews. Nothing tends to get off the ground, so it really will show this government's mettle whether they're actually going to sort of push through with what they say.
Well, that's it. I mean, even Sadiq Khan says he's going to challenge the government in the court. So, I mean, what chance have they got of getting it past him? Because he's the Mayor of London. And that's before you even get started with the green groups and the environmentalists and all the kind of, the badger lovers and the newt lovers and the bat brigade.
Yeah, no, that's right. And we had Sir Sadiq Khan saying that he will use every tool within the toolkit to actually try and stop this third runway. He just doesn't think the extra capacity, the extra flights will do anything to improve the environment in and around London. So you can see, and on top of that, you've got Ed Miliband, who says that if the Heathrow runway will go ahead, that it has to be within those carbon budgets. So there's a little bit of wiggle room there for Ed Miliband to say, well, hang on a minute. You say that it's got to, meet our sort of net zero targets, and it doesn't look like it is. So there are rows on the horizon in government, even though Ed Miliband has said he will not walk away from cabinet. So let's just watch this space on that.
Absolutely. Well, you can always use David Lammy's private jet, I suppose, if they get the third runway up and running. He's apparently run up a bill, according to Guido today, of around about £1 million already.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, the Foreign Secretary does travel around a hell of a lot more so than the other ministers, but cast your mind back to before the election, and there was lots of calls from shadow cabinet ministers, Labour MPs, about the use of Conservative ministers going around the world and how they wouldn't travel on private jets themselves. And you fast forward to a year or so, and they're doing exactly the same. Now, I think a lot of people don't mind the Prime Minister and senior ministers getting on planes, but I think it's when you say one thing in opposition and then doing another thing in government, I think that's what that sparks that hypocrisy row. Also,
you say he flies around a lot more than other ministers. I'm not sure he flies around more than the Prime Minister. So, I mean, I wonder what the Prime Minister's bill is. Can you find that out for us as well?
Yeah, no, I'm sure we possibly can. We often travel with them, so to cover their every move. You just look at the trips that the Foreign Secretary has been on. He went to the Chagos, not Chagos Islands, to Samoa, where I was covering it. He's been to NATO. He's pretty much out the country every single week.
He was in Sudan the other day, banging on about how important Sudan was, to which everyone went, well, why? You've got plenty of other things to fix, thanks.
Yeah, no, exactly. And his diary is pretty packed. But I think one thing that David Lammy really has to try and sort of bridge is that relationship with America. We've obviously got Lord Mandelson going in there as ambassador, and I think the big thing on the horizon on that side will be that free trade agreement that Britain sort of desperately wants.
Absolutely. More trouble at home for Starmer, though. The Attorney General on the front page of the Times this morning, that's Lord Hermer, who's already had to declare that he does have conflicts of interest with the government, and he does sometimes have to recuse himself. That is to take himself away from the conversations about giving government advice. In the Times this morning today, he's facing even more criticism from inside the cabinet. People saying that he's obstructing government because he's more concerned about judicial reviews and lawsuits and all the rest of it. So I mean, it's looking more and more like he can't really do the job, this guy.
Yeah, no, I think maybe if you haven't been in politics before and you get brought in, that maybe you're just getting used to the role, and you may be used to doing different things. But I think the trouble is, ministers try and want to make decisions pretty quickly, and I think if lawyers are putting obstacles and hurdles in the way, it's become a deep sense of frustration for ministers in all departments. So I think that is probably one to watch, especially if it comes to Lord Hermer actually holding up big decisions.
Yeah, I'm looking at possibly before the end of March for this one to depart these shores.
Yeah, no. I think the one thing with Lord Hermer, he's extremely close to Sir Keir Starmer. Yeah. So you just wonder whether all of this is done with the behest of Sir Keir Starmer. But don't forget, it's the lawyers that offer the advice, and it's advisors that advise, and it's the ministers to make the decisions. So let's also keep an eye on the ministers and making sure they're making the right decisions.
Yeah, absolutely right. Good to talk to you, Ryan Sabey. Thank you very much indeed, Deputy Political Editor, of course, at The Sun. We've got plenty going on. We're going to talk about Brexit throughout the show. Obviously, it's 5th anniversary today. Let's get a voice note from Elle.
I can't believe the BBC guy. I mean, every time I hear him, the stuff he comes out with and thinks it's acceptable, unbelievable. The poor bishop. Good God, the lot of them, he defends all of them, and he actually genuinely thinks that they're not doing anything wrong.
It is extraordinary, isn't it? Here's another one from Tracy in Staffordshire. Mike, has the moral compass of your last guest moved so far that he honestly thinks it's OK for the talent to be morally corrupt, and he blames the press? If it wasn't for you giving him what for, it would be deeply depressing. Absolutely right. Morning, Mike, says Graham, down in Birmingham. Yvette Cooper is now saying Labour will smash the gangs on the continent to prevent illegals making the Channel crossing. Labour couldn't even smash the gangs in Bradford and Rotherham, and they are on our doorstep. It's a very good point. And finally, one from John. If a survey on Brexit was done outside of London, you would find that most people would vote to leave again. I agree with that. I don't ever believe most of the surveys that are done, particularly by YouGov. And let's not forget, before the Brexit referendum in 2016, everybody said, oh yeah, we're going to vote to stay. Definitely no chance of leaving the European Union. Nobody wants to do that. That would be stupid, wouldn't it?